you guys?
Good. Yeah, we got up early this morning.
We did. We're all a bit short of sleep.
Yeah, but we're ready. We're ready for the big show.
The rock show.
How lacking in sleep are you in the past, let's say, 3 months?
Not that badly. We were in America last month, and that was pretty brutal. We were getting like 2 or 3 hours a night, partly because of the jet lag, and partly because we just didn't have any longer than that in the hotel. So we'd get up early and drive a really long way. But we've actually been at home quite a lot as well on this album. It's been quite benevolent, really.
No fever dreams and tours. Sorry about the wordplay. I couldn't resist.
I definitely had one really strange dream in America, but now I can't remember what it was. Alex had a good dream about me, that we were on tour and we had to change hotels to be closer to a shop that sells clothes exclusively for fat guys, so that I could be closer to that shop. That was Alex.
Come on. Were you fat as a kid? Because you're not fat as it anymore.
No, it's not.
It's just a running joke.
Being fat, it's like
tall.
Oversized men.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that it's very difficult for you to get clothes then, because you have to get plus size and then like trim it or something, and go to the sewer.
I've never actually purchased anything from this particular establishment.
It's really hard for him.
It's really hard.
He has a really hard time getting the clothes that fit him, and and we try not to rib him too much about it. But sometimes I just have dreams, and they need to be, we need to say the truth.
It's true. I mean, it was a dream, but it might as well have happened.
But you're rather tall as well. Do you have rather tall? You guys are the same size. What's this?
It's just the running joke. It stuck to me more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys on Fever Dream, do you feel like? I'm not going to say it's been the general consensus. By the way, this isn't really an interview. Alex has been on the show twice now, and we've kind of done interviewees, but interviewees. This is going great. No, but actually, this is less of more like an intended, like fun time between, but not. Yeah, good. Exactly. That's what we aim to do, but not to be like too interview or whatever. But everyone seems to. Not everyone, but there's a general consensus that you guys are doing less, less baroque approach, less intricate approach to arrangements on this record. I agree as well. I think in terms of arrangement, it sounds like cleaner in terms of at least less busy. Not that busy is bad.
I think
is it purposeful? I mean,
I think we wanted to make something more cohesive, and if that means arrangements have gotten a bit more sensible, then maybe that's
sensible.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of the kind of like crazy arrangements on like Get to Heaven are just like through just terrible writing, on my part, things like The Wheel or whatever. Like it's just two things jammed together, We
still do a lot of that Song of Two Halves thing, which that's always been kind of our bread and butter. But then there's also a lot of just kind of more direct, I guess, pop structures on the record as well. It's not something we were conscious of. I think it's just the direction we've moved in. We were much clearer about the kind of areas we wanted to hone in on this album.
Which were more dance oriented, maybe.
Yeah, some of it. Yeah, very much. We was more kind of trying to be a heavier band, so more guitar riffs, and then we were listening to a lot. John and I were listening to a lot of sort of Mr. Fingers and Aphex Twin, and house and early Warp Record stuff, and trying to just sort of. I think we've used synths a lot in the past, but literally just wheeled out really expensive synths and just sort of hammered some massive chords on them. And I think we were trying to be a bit more. I don't know, a bit more. I wouldn't say tasteful, but trying to understand that side of us a bit more. I think we've always used synths as a way to fill things up. And we're trying to make it more of an instrument that plays a part rather than trying to make this
integral to the songwriting, really.
Yeah.
There from the ground up, rather than adding them on later out of a sense of duty.
Because, for instance, Jeremy, this is the first time we've spoken, and as a long-time Everything fan, I've always noticed that your bass approach has been the opposite of a usual bass player. Like, for instance, bass players sometimes hide in the rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But you stray away from that and just like in between the beats, you go like do 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 do.
I think
this is a comment, not necessarily a question. But,
well, scat bass. I'm glad you're interested in it. Anyway, it's,
absolutely.
It's a combination of being sort of bloody-minded and not wanting to be kind of conformist, I suppose, and also because John and Alex will give me kind of skeletal parts that are really atypical. The kind of thing that the instrumentalist wouldn't write themselves, and I can kind of extemporize it from there. So you've got sort of 2 or 3 different brains in any of the parts in any of our songs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and it's still prevalent. I mean, it's still not prevalent, but it's still very much. It's the thing of one of the things of the band. Apart from the songwriting, is there's a certain style and there's a certain approach. And then, for instance, I think it's clearer on this record on Big Game, maybe. I think it does have that 2-headed song approach, because and it's really awesome. I think that song is amazing.
But thank you.
No, you're welcome.
That riff, the second half of that song was the first thing we had really when we kind of came together to start thinking about a 4th album. And
that guitar part.
It went, and we really liked that, and Alex had that, and it was like, yeah, we like this. It's like Deerhoof, and we tried to. We had like 5 different versions of other songs around that riff that we weren't very fond of, and it went to the bottom of the pile for a long time, and then right at the 11th hour, it came back. I'm really glad we managed to rescue it, because I think it's a really nice piece of music. That
it's funny that you mentioned a nice piece of nice. Rather lovely. It's a quaint little piece of music, but and rather cozy as well.
John, I think, did the right thing with. He found the right kind of way to embody that piece of music lyrically, because it sounds like a kind of absurd sort of Sousa march. It's got a kind of pomposity to it, so he was able to apply a certain modern phenomenon to that.
We do not necessarily need to be very clear. Obviously, of course. But do you guys speak about that in every in any approach? I mean, any situation that you have with press, not necessarily interviews, but do you always speak of Trump because so?
No, I mean only when John's asked about the song where he's talking.
That's the most direct and the most kind of childish lyric on there. It's kind of lowering himself to Trump's level.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Everything else is a bit less, a bit more obscure.
But if you don't do that, he's never going to understand, though. So it's a way of getting to him.
I don't know if he'll ever.
I'm not sure we'll ever be heard by Trump.
Or get it at all. Like,
no.
There's no subtlety. I mean, even though as long as his name isn't there, he's not going to listen.
No. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
we'll need the subtitles.
Next time, next album, you know the album title already, so it should be just like,
No, you
Trump
can't
records.
Do that again. It's boring. I'd like to think we won't have to deal with that again.
Yeah, hopefully not. And it's actually not the first time. The last time we were here, we were doing Biffy Clyro, and we like half the time we were, because Trump just got elected, had just gotten elected, so half of our chat was about Trump, unfortunately. But it just ended up there, like it is now. So let's stray away from that. So let's put him in the drawer and leave him be. He's rather big as well.
Makes for good comedy.
Yes, he himself. It's a tragedy equals comedy equals Trump equals time. I don't know, but guys, on for instance, lyrically on can't do. Is that something like you guys say to each other when you can't do certain parts, and like it's rather useful in terms of band writing? Like, oh, I can't do that.
So we had the song, we had the verses, and we needed the chorus, and I had the chorus looping, and I had John in a room, and John was just trying out loads of different stuff. And then every time we do something like the original sort of dun dun, as soon as he did that, I was like, he'd keep that bit and then just rework the second bit, and he's just like, I can't do it, and then that's when the lyric became, I can't do the thing you want.
Because that's what it sounds like. Like to me, an informed, and
that becomes a kind of jumping off point for the rest of the lyric about sort of insecurity, really, and lack of confidence and but also the song itself is kind of cathartic of that feeling.
It's pretty useful, like in terms of your day-to-day, lots of stuff you can't do. What are things? What are the things you can't do, for instance?
I can't really drive. I
Really?
Alex just passed his test, and I passed my test earlier this year, but I'm really bad. Like I probably shouldn't be legally allowed on the roads.
I'm incredible. I'm just such a good driver.
Who's the best driver in the band? I'm guessing Michael. Because the drummers, drummers and drivers.
Yeah, exactly. When we first started the band, Mike was the only person that could drive. He kind of still is, really, at least in terms of being allowed to hire or drive a car. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he put up with it. It was years and years of that, and we had a nasty old transit van that he used to drive around as well. And we fixed it once with bathroom sealant.
What? I'm sorry?
No, the stuff you put around the edge of a bathtub to seal
I know.
it.
How?
I don't know. But it worked anyway. We just had to stick part of the engine back together.
How long did you travel with that?
A couple of 100 miles, I think, probably, yeah. And then got it to a garage in East London.
Wow. Well, driver tips, guys. Bath glue or something. What about you, Alex? What can't you do?
I can't surfboard. I tried once. It's a lot of waiting around, isn't it?
Where'd you surf in England, though?
It was in Guernsey, in Channel Islands.
Oh, no idea.
No. Well, I tried the Thames, and it just wasn't very successful.
Like you just stay in one place and sink, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of waiting, and then when it does happen, you just sort of try to stand up and you just fall over. Had you surfed before?
No, I never even tried though, because I find it like physically impossible. I think.
Yeah.
Just even to imagine.
I tried it once, and I didn't.
Okay, how don't you slip? I mean,
Because it's not. It has like a different texture on the part that.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, but still.
This kind of technicality.
Guys, we just got the heads up from there. But so this show is called Made of Things, and I've never asked you guys before. The show Made of Things is based on the idea that you've dedicated yourselves to music. I can speak today. It's too moist.
Really good.
Oh, thank you so much. But not today isn't too brilliant. But thank you. I'll take the compliment. but Made of Things is based on the idea that you dedicated yourselves to music or art in general, or whatever it is you do, because something happened to you, or you read something, or watched something, or listened to something that made you go, oh, I want to do that forever. Did you guys have that? And what was it? Not Deerhoof. Or was it?
No, I think it was much younger than that. I think when I was very young, my parents sort of forced my hand to do music, and and I was sort of kicking and screaming to like different various lessons, and it suddenly at a certain age it just suddenly clicked, and I've always wanted to work in music, and I just can't imagine doing anything else really.
And what about you, Jeremy?
I had a kind of similar experience, but I remember hearing Michael Jackson when I was like 7 and being it was like meeting an alien or something. I just didn't know that such a thing existed, and that was a really amazing
And it doesn't exist anymore.
Maybe it does, like somewhere outer space still, like in the satellite.
I think he is.
In parts, in bits of Michael.
Bits of Michael. Yeah, I mean that, and also I was like really into the Beatles as a kid, but I remember like in the 90s being really into the idea of a band with like Blur and even Oasis and then latterly Radiohead and the sort of camaraderie that projected was really attractive to me as much as the music as well. Really? Yeah.
But in terms of musically stripped of everything else, after you were introduced to music, this is valid for both of you guys. So was there a moment in what was one of the first moments when you went like, oh, this has all been validated by this that I'm listening to now? Maybe something that even you've done. It's difficult though when you're a beginner.
I'm trying to follow. You mean what we do is now validated or something?
No. What I meant was like in terms of your own personal taste, in terms of making music and stuff. Okay, so you guys had already been playing for a couple of years, let's say, and then you heard something that was like, oh, I'm glad I'm doing this because that's amazing.
Yeah. I was like 15 or 16 when Kid A came out, and that was such a kind of challenging moment, and I think a lot of people kind of turned their backs on it at that point, on Radiohead at that point, and it was like the door was opening for me. I was like, okay, actually, there are so many other pathways that you can go down, and that was like a list of 10 different places to go in music. And I remember there was a magazine that published like, if you like this track, you should listen to these records, and if you like this next track, you should listen to it. And I bought all of those albums, and loads of the Warp stuff, and loads of jazz stuff, loads of classical stuff, and that was a real kind of broadening of my horizons.
Fantastic. Sometimes that does happen with press. I'm usually not. I'm kind of shy of complimenting stuff, but that's why I don't consider this like journalism at all. We're just chatting, basically. And did you have that also out, like some like that?
I mean, Kid A meant a lot for everyone. But I think I think when I was a teenager and Window Liquor was like the video appeared for Window Liquor, and then obviously the music, it was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. And it still is, you know. Yeah. You still listen to it now and you're like, it is just so fresh. Just
what was it, 97? No, 99.
99, because Come to Daddy was before that. It was like 97, yeah. So, and that was, glad that wasn't the first one, so otherwise you're like,
It just still sounds so futuristic and so just sort of beyond. I mean, I don't know how it happened.
And it still does, though.
Yeah.
It's still quite amazing.
It's one of the true geniuses. You know, when people talk about genius, and it's an overused word, like, but Shakespeare was a genius, and Picasso was a genius, and Aphex Twin is a genius.
Does he still live in a safe, like underground or something? Because
I think he lives in
a vault, like in a vault.
I heard
not in a safe in a vault.
In Cornwall. I don't know.
Okay, sure, guys. Okay, we're done, basically. Thank you. Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you again as well. Again, I cannot speak today.